Okay, here we go. In the last video, you probably saw how I was making that Narrows game, or this Narrows game. Um, I actually wanted to make a couple of quick updates regarding that. Ow, my tongue hurts. Um, so apparently I got a message from Thomas saying that the track pack that he used is apparently already owned by somebody else. And then, of course, I'm also going to go ahead and remove the water tower. I already removed the station except for the base, which was never original to it. I'm going to go ahead and remove the Plymouth and the 190, but the Plymouth in particular because apparently that's also owned by somebody else that Thomas put in the game. Not saying he's a leaker, but I never really did approve of it anyway. But yeah. Come on. Do it. Bye-bye. See that? Just to show I'm not lying. Oh, and then this too. Bye-bye. Oh, and this too. Bye-bye as well to that. So what now, seeing as the game's basically vacant? Well, I don't really know, honestly. I mean, it's definitely going to have to be rebuilt, especially with the track anyway, but thankfully I got the dimensions of the narrow gauge track, which I already started laying down some crude based tracks here for the width of the tracks anyway. So yeah, I plan to do that and then just pretty much redo everything from the beginning. I mean, there's nothing I can really do beyond that. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing here. Actually, you know what? I don't want to color them like that. There we go. I'll have to deal with that later here, but and then of course I decided to update the paint scheme on the 242, so that way it's a much darker blue now. It even has these little end caps on the cylinders as well. I have no idea why these brake pump supports are protruding. No idea where that came from. But anyway, yeah, we'll just push those in. And yeah. And then, let's see here. Oh, I also made an update to the Davenport. I had a couple of photos on hand in my drive, which I decided to look at and somewhat revitalize the details on the Davenport a little bit here. But yeah. And of course, in case you're wondering, this mailbox single chime whistle is, I think, the technical term. As for the Dunkirk, it now resides over here as it's pretty much finished. But yeah, I also added this big, huge spark arrestor thing on the top. I mainly inspired this off of the Rainier logging locomotives because they have something similar like that on their smokestacks, I believe, as well. But yeah, here's the cab interior of the locomotive. Yeah, pretty cool. And then, of course, got a passenger car. Let me see. Hessler hasn't really changed all that much. Or actually, it has a little bit because I added in this little detail on the brake pump. But yeah. And then, of course, I said that I was going to add in a Shay locomotive, or at least a Shay type locomotive, and this is kind of a bit of a freelance Shay locomotive. It has cylinders on both sides instead of only one side. But yeah, I took the good portion of yesterday to put the steps in. So yeah. And then, of course, these are all the older models of the Dunkirk, Davenport, and Hessler. But yeah, it's the same 242 as the one over here, but it's in Venetian red, or I should say crimson red. Could be Venetian red, though. And then, of course, we have some little update locomotives here. We have this little steam locomotive here, this little 240 Porter. We have another sister 240 Porter. And then we have this very, very large Forney locomotive. But yeah, very large. Also, another thing that you may or may not have noticed is that I have changed the suspension system to look a lot more like the realistic ones here. Because if you remember on number 4, the Vulcan number 4, the suspension system just kind of looks like this. It's okay, but I just thought I could do better. And then, of course, this is the suspension block in all of its glory. I don't exactly know what the technical term is for it. I think it was like suspension equalization system, but yeah. And then, of course, I also went ahead and improved the driving wheels as well. I gave them a bit more, bit of a different detail to them. I decreased the spoke count, which I think if you put the rotate them out at like what 36, you could do something like that, something like what I have here. But yeah. Oh, and it's probably worth noting too that the red locomotive here is based off of the Groudle Glen Bagnall ride-on tank from the Groundle Glen Railroad, somewhere up in the UK or Wales or something like that. It's also where I primarily got the idea to use the lead truck like this here. Same on this one. But yeah. And then, of course, the Forney locomotive, I still have yet to update some of the details on it. The suspension, the counterweight, the crank mechanism on it, you know, all that fun stuff. But it'll come in good time. Don't worry. And then, of course, I have this stray locomotive base, which I might turn into some sort of an outside frame counterweight locomotive, I guess. I haven't really crossed that bridge yet if I want to actually do that. But a highly considered decision in my head. Actually, while I'm at it too, let me just take the environmental specular scale down so you can see stuff a little bit better too. And of course, change the lighting mode to future. Did it? Hang on, did it change over? Doesn't look like it changed. Come on. Of course, so I'm also thinking too of maybe updating the cabs on the on pretty much all the locomotives, because the way I did it was by unionizing just a single block and just slapping some holes in there and whatnot. But yeah, it's not exactly the best. You know what? Let me remove the signal post because that never really was a detail I liked to begin with. I have no idea why I put that in there if I didn't like it, but oh well. And then, of course, I don't know if I want to keep these controls or change them up to a certain extent, but I don't know. But yeah, at least it looks somewhat decent. Of course, I got like got brake stands, which are actually hitting the thingies down here. What are those? What are those? Damper controls, I think. I think they're damper controls, but I don't know. I'm sure you guys probably know a lot more of that sort of stuff. Now, if I can change my lighting over to something like voxel or future, perhaps. Come on, you stupid. There we go. Future. Oh, there we go. Decrease the lighting, and wow. But yeah. And then, of course, I might also update some of the lighting stuff as well for the, well, not exactly lighting stuff, but just some stuff in general, but I don't know. But anyway, I mean, other than that, that's pretty much all I have to really update you on is, just deleting all the rails, the Plymouth, the 190, the water tower, and the station, and the signal, which I just did just now, because those are only placeholders. The only real locomotives that are going to be in the game are the ones that I specifically built, which are, you can tell them because, they have that sort of detail to them. But I don't know. It's just a bit of a hectic situation right now, but I'm slowly finding my way around. So at least that's all that matters. But yeah, I think that's pretty much going to do it for this one. I don't really have much of a long video in mind regarding that. Let me just make sure. Oh, still got one stray little track section. Can't carry any of those over. But anyway, that's going to do it for this one. So